Today, guys, I want to go over how I do a complete Flambient blend. I would like to do this from a tutorial standpoint, since I have had a lot of comments saying, hey, these videos feel really disjointed, this isn't really a tutorial, which I'm going to be honest with you, they weren't meant to be. I say that in them. They are meant to illustrate how fast you can do this stuff and what it's like off the top of my head as I'm working. But I figured that there were so many Flambient tutorials out there that nobody would want one, just because it's a fairly covered topic, but we will be doing one today. We are going to do this from the ground up. We are going to go through it step by step for how I do it. So to get us started, I'm going to infuse this with you guys. So I have all of my images stacked. They have been brought in. I work over a network connection, so all of my photos are stored off of my computer on a network drive that is in my basement, in my network cabinet. It's all hardwired. I'm only saying that so you guys can get an idea of the speed. So we are going to come in here and we are going to go to stacking, and we are going to expand this stack. And the reason why is because we're going to apply our preset. So our preset is going to be over here. I call it a pre-infuse. Click it. What this does is this sets it to a camera flat. Mine says version 2 because that is what my Nikon has. We then have a -75 on the highlights, +60 shadows, +32 whites, a -5 blacks, 16 texture, 14 clarity, and 5 dehaze. The dehaze helps just bring a little bit more contrast in it, I've found. My detail is just a basic sharpening. It is a 68 on the amount, 1.4 on the radius, a 15 on the detail, and then the masking. Typically, I come in here, hold Alt, and I drag this around, and you can see anything that is white is going to have sharpening applied, and anything that is black will have it masked out. You can then take that and sync it across so that we make sure that all of that detail and sharpening and masking is applied to all of them. Finally, we have lens corrections. This is the Nikon 14 to 30mm. They are applied in camera. They cannot be unapplied because this lens has pretty bad distortion and vignetting otherwise. That is everything that is done to it. Now I'm going to take and move most of my data to the middle. So I'm going to grab that exposure and I'm going to push it over. I should have shot it this way, but I tend to like them to be in the middle because I like a little bit more of a not overexposure, but a brighter file to give infuse, because if you have a darker one, the TIFF that it spits out tends to be darker. So I have found if you have things that are on the lighter side, not blown out, we will have one that is very bright, but these are 5 brackets, 2 stops apart. If you have them mostly on the lighter side, you will get a better TIFF file at the end of the day. So we're going to sync that across. And that is going to make sure all of our settings applied to all of these files. There is a flash file at the end here. I'm going to click on him, and we are going to say stacking, unstack. That will remove all of them from the stack. We'll grab the 5 brackets that we have without the flash, and we will go stacking, group into stack. You can also do this in the library module by holding Control and G on the selected photos, and it will then group them. We don't want the flash in there because we do not want the flash to be blended with Lightroom Enfuse. I'm going to go over here and use what I have is my flash preset. This feels a little bit cool to me, even though it is 5500. I'm going to lighten it up. I do this sometimes, or warm it up, excuse me. I do this based on how I feel about it, because I remember I was there, and I pick the flash as I go. So now we have those set. This is a little bit dark. I like to go a little bit brighter. This is a little bit blown out here. So what we might try and do is, let's see, I'm going to pull down this to see what we have. We do have quite a bit of detail. So when we bring this in, I will try and bring this in as a smart object so I can then go in and change it and get a little bit more out of my windows. We're going to grab our stack, go to File, Plugins and Extras, Blend using Lightroom and Enfuse. I have everything set up like I've shown in my previous videos, and I'm not going to go over them, but they are set up like I have shown, with my output being that it will bring it back. It'll put it next to the photos where they are stored on my network drive, and then it will re-import it and have a -HDR on it so that I know what file is this file. We'll click Infuse and let that go. You're going to see it in real time, how quickly this can go. It is I haven't found it to be incredibly faster if you have a better CPU. I don't know what it's like on a Mac. I don't use a Mac. But I have found that it is fairly quick. If you do have Lightroom as in the background and you are doing something else, I have found that it does take a little bit longer. For whatever reason, if Lightroom is the forefront, the application that is open, it tends to utilize the CPU a little bit better. I have a Ryzen 7 5800X for mine with 64 gigs of RAM, if that matters to anybody, and an RTX 4090, but that is mostly used for my rendering stuff that I do in video because it cuts my 4K stuff in half. But this usually takes around a minute, maybe a little bit less. We'll see it when it pulls in, and then we are going to take it into Photoshop and we will blend it. We will not be going over how to make my actions in this video because I want to keep this video focused on the editing and focused on doing a Flambient blend. And there we go, it's pulling it back in. The processes will complete, and you can see here is the file that I have been given. This file in and of itself is almost already ready to go, and you could click tone curve, do a strong contrast, and that file right there is nearly ready to go. You could flavor it however you would like, but we are going to take it a step further and take it in with a flash and blend it in a Flambient blend. So we will click both of these, right click them, edit in, open as smart object layers in Photoshop. If you did not want to do that, you could hold Alt P E up and hit enter, and it would open them as layers in Photoshop. But I am going to open them as smart object layers because I want to adjust the flash a little bit. So we'll open those up as smart object layers in Photoshop. We will let that load in, and we will get them done. This would be what I would label as a 2-image Flambient blend. So my actions are going to be based off of how many images there are. I typically try and only do 1 flash with an image. I will do 2 if I have to. Any more than that, and it gets really, really tricky because we're getting a lot of images in there, and that tends to be very, very picky niche stuff, and I will do that all by hand. So we will come in here, I will deselect. I have my action bound to F2, F3. Depending on which one. F2 is the 2-image blend, F3 is the 3-image blend. We will go over these actions in another video, but understand these are the same way you have seen any Flambient tutorial. We're going to have a flash on the very bottom, and I will go through this. We will then have our ambient layer. We will have another ambient layer that I can blend in to try to take out some of those shadows, and then we will have our flashes masked off and darken mode so that we can do our window pulls. And I do this with just 1 button press, so make sure you click here to deselect, hit F2, and it does it all for me. And it's flambiently blended right now. We have that flash on the bottom, we have our ambient layer with the luminosity, blend mode. We have another ambient layer on that one with a 50% opacity, and that is because it helps take out a lot of that flashiness that comes out from using it. Luminosity tends to desaturate colors in certain areas, and I will show you the shadows that it creates. We will also have another ambient layer here that is normal and 100% opacity with a black mask on it, and then we have our window layer that we are going to use for our window pulse. So the first thing I do is I look and see where my shadows are. I fire all of my flashes over the top of my camera. So if my camera is facing this way, I put my flash right over the top of it and pop it, and you're good to go. It has a bell housing on it with a diffuser, and that's how I have used it for years. I have had people tell me, or in the comments say, why don't you bounce it off the ceiling? One of the reasons is because flash always takes on any color it touches, and nothing is pure white. You're going to be dealing with shadows no matter what. If you fire it off the ceiling, they tend to gradually fade as it goes down, and you get really strange blends in luminosity. You're going to be fighting it no matter what you do. These are the shadows that I choose to fight with. They're very easy for me to blend out, and I like how this works. If it works for you popping it off the ceiling, that's fine. There is no right or wrong way to do this. So I have a brush with a 30% opacity and a 15% flow, and I am on that black mask of the ambient layer that is a 100% opacity in a normal mode. We can see up here, there is a shadow from the flash behind this fan. And the easiest way to take that out is to grab that layer that's 100% opacity, come up here with our brush, and just brush it out until it disappears. And once you feel that it's gone and it's good to your taste, you're good to go. This is 100% softness on this brush. I like it that way because it makes it a lot easier. In other places we tend to get flashiness is around bedspreads, bed frames, plants. I don't really see any. These are looking good. Again, I go through this really fast in my head just because I've done it so many times, but that looks good to me. We're going to go into our windows here. I am going to take this and I'm going to turn down the highlights even more. This is a raw photo, so I can do that. We're going to try and pull our whites down a little bit and pull our exposure slightly. I'm going to boost those shadows up because we really don't care about that. I'm also going to take the color here, and I think I'm going to try and adjust it a little bit warmer because I like that for the outside. I don't like extremely contrasty, fake-looking windows. That is a me thing. Oh, hang on a second. So, there's one thing that we did wrong, so I'm doing this live with you. When I created this in the action, I made it a copy because I typically don't work with smart object layers. When you copy a smart object instead of creating a new smart object via copy, they will inherit whatever you do to that one you copied it from. So they're basically a carbon copy of each other and they will mirror what you do. So what we need to do here is right click this guy and we need to do new smart object via copy. We're going to get rid of that old window layer, and then this one will now function like we want it to. So we'll come back in here again, grab our lights, pull our highlights down, drop our whites down, go over here, grab our color, make it slightly warmer like we did, and we will leave it, and we will go back to our light, maybe drop our exposure just a bit, right there, hit OK. We will paint with Reckless Abandon at first and see if that gives us the results we want. If it does not, we will come back and we will do it. But it seems to be doing a fairly good job. These are just on a darken layer. This does what I want it to. This window is a fairly hazy window, so it may not respond too much like the way we want. But right there is good. I will switch myself to black by pressing X. Kind of just paint some of those things that I might have hit that has a little bit strange color. And right there we will hit F4, which just flattens the image, which you can go up here to, I believe, layer and hit flatten image. Mine is bound to F4, so it flattens it. The next thing I would do is remove any color casting. There is not a lot of color casting in here that I am worried about. This is a fairly neutral image, and I don't think I'm actually going to do any color casting removal. These are naturally this color. The lights are naturally warm. They look good. I don't need to do anything to it, so it's fine the way it is. I will hit Control S to save it, Control W to close it, and then as soon as it closes, I will go back into Lightroom. Once we are here, I will grab my transform tool, hit automatic just so that it makes it right. Constrain it to crop so we don't get any weird things. Maybe slightly adjust the brightness just to bring it up a hair. And right there is our finished image. I would then export this, label it whatever you want to, but that is our naturally blended Flambient image. You can flavor it how you want. I do not like to have very fake, very high contrast windows. I feel that it pulls the user through the image so that all you see is outside. You don't actually look at what you're purchasing. I try to make things as natural looking as possible, and I'm not afraid of highlights, I'm not afraid of shadows, but I try to do that as best that I can. If we had a lot of color casting that we'd like to get out, I would have taken it, but again, I don't like to make things pure white and clinical and sterile. I feel that they get very ugly and washed out, and they tend to give a false perception of what the home is like before somebody comes and tours it, which is something I don't want to do. The MLS here compresses these images so horribly sometimes that colors come out looking really strange, so I try and keep these as neutral and as natural as possible. And this image is finished. So if you guys have questions, please let me know. I will try to answer them as best as I can. I know that I tend to bounce around a lot and I'm very long-winded, and I do apologize about that. But if you have questions, please let me know. We will go over how to set up those actions in another video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.